But I want to start off this way. I'm going to pick somebody that I know and know pretty well, and I'm going to pick Rosie, okay? I'm not going to make you stand up and sing your alma mater or anything, but I'm just going to ask you, you've been married to Bob for how long now? 35 years. Can we, here's what I'm thinking. Instead of having stickers on the back of our car with 26.2 and stuff like that, why don't we have marriage year stickers on the back of our car? What if we celebrated that? Whatever time we pulled up to a stoplight and it said 35 years, somebody went, bravo, bravo, way to go. I mean, it's better than running, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot harder. But because you've known and loved and been with Bob so long, I could probably ask you, Rosie, if you could think of 5 things to pray for him, you'd know what to pray, wouldn't you? You would just know. Just 5 would be nothing. You could probably come up with Bob, thousands, right? I mean, you could, God nail him for this and nail him for that. But you know his weaknesses, and you just know what his dreams are. You know all of those kind of things. You know, right? But what if, you kind of know Scott, right? Our worship leader. You kind of know him, but what if I was to ask you to just pray for Scott? Would you know much about what to pray for him? Not a lot. You know some. You've heard some things about his life, and you know a little bit about him. But the point is, you don't really get to know anybody unless you hang with them and do life with them and all that, right? I mean, that's when you know. That's when you learn people's strengths, and you learn their weaknesses, and you learn what they love. You learn what they hate. You learn what would tick them off. You learn not to walk up behind them when they're vacuuming and tap them on the shoulder. There's all kinds of things like that you know. But and where I'm going with all that, a lot of people think that learning God's will is some mystery that only some people can get to. But I'm here to tell you, it's a relationship. It's a relationship. It's the relationship with God that gets to, look, bottom line is this. If you get to know God, you will know God's will. If you get to know God, that will just be a part of who you are. You will know God's will. I mean, everybody, 90-something% of Americans recognize there is a God. Even the one that doesn't pay any attention to him at all and calls him the man upstairs. We all have this sense that if I'm going to do things right, I need to kind of try to be in God's will. But to know God's will, we've got to get to know God. Would you agree? Now, I'm going to throw a verse at you that I think will make that even clearer. Look at the next. Look at this. This is from Isaiah 55:8. God says, you ready? My thoughts are nothing like what? Here's the deal. My thoughts, when Lisa and I met each other, and her thoughts were probably not anywhere close to right? I mean, there are things that I just know about her being a human. There are things I know because I've known humans and things like that. There's just things that I know about her. There's things that if I'm halfway decently wise at all, I'm not going to do that. If I'm trying to earn her love, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this, and boy, I shouldn't do that. Or how many times have you said to a guy, boy, that was the stupidest thing you could have done if you really want to go out with her? I mean, those are the things. But here's what I want to tell you. With God, we don't know it all. If it's just straight out, I can just figure out God. How many people have you heard say, well, if God's a good God, he would this, or if God's a good God, he was that. Sometimes I want to go, you don't know God. If the only way you're trying to figure out God's will or whether you know God is just because you're a human being and God's up there and I'm down here, so I must know what God likes and what God likes and doesn't like. And that in the Bible can't be true because God wouldn't be that way. And no, God doesn't say that at all. God says, my thoughts are nothing like your thoughts. Nothing. And the way to do those things, none of your ways are like my ways.